Jayo Gopi Janavalabham Girivaryatha Jayo Gopi Janavalabham Girivaryatha Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhavam Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhavam Kunja Bihari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabham Girivaryadhari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabham Girivaryadhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhavam Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhavam Kunja Bihari Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 Sarva Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I offer my humble obeisances to
我
all
要
those
恭恭敬敬
assembled
地顶拜
Vaishnavas.
聚
It
会
is
的 Vaishnava
great
们，
pleasure and
这
privilege
真的
to be
是
with
非
all
常
of you
令
in
人
Srimad Dham.
高兴，而且呢，我觉得是非常荣幸的一件事，能够在这个 Navadvip Dham 是所有一切 Dham 的最神圣的地方。 所以所有的仁慈都在这个 Mahaprabhu， 这是非常有力量的一个地方。我们而且这也是我们发展我们的灵性进步的最好的地方。
Navavida Bhakti
你说
Adhisthana, Navada Bhakti Adhisthana, it is the residence
也就是
place
说，这
of 9
是
limbs of devotional
奉献
service.
服务的9个分支所居住的地方。这样呢，
Each of the
每一个
Vipas, it
Vipas
is
每一个对
representing
话
one
就
of
是
the
每一个
limbs
地方，
of
每一个岛
devotional
其实都代
service.
表着奉
And
献
the
服务
most
的
important is
一
the
个方面。
Antardviv where
最重
Lord
要的是
Gauranga have
对
appeared,
主Gauranga 就
and
显现在这里。
it's representing the
这个代表的
self-surrender,
是
complete surrender to the Lord
自我臣服，
Atmanivedana.
完全的
Lord
臣服。阿特曼尼维的呢，
Gauranga
主 Gauranga 到来
to give nothing else but Prema
不是为了给
Bhakti
别的，而是
through
给出 Prema
execution of
Bhakti，
Harinam Sankirtan
而且
and
这个是通过执行 Harinam
Raghunaga
Sankirtan 得到
Sadhana
的。
Bhakti, which is of course
这个 Sadhana
first
Bhakti 的
executed as
重
prescribed
要的部
devotional
分
service. Why this
也
Sadhana
是
Bhakti?
为什
So
么
this
除了
glorious
Sadhana
Dham,
Bhakti 这么的重要？这是
it
非
said
常有
it's
荣耀的一个
Sarvavatamsa,
Dham，Sarvatamsa
Dham
Dham，
is like crown jewel
这
among
个是
all
王冠上的
Dhams.
宝石，
It
所
is
有
very
的 Dham 之中的王冠
unique
上的
opportunity for all of us
珠宝，对于我
to
们来
reside
讲，
here
能
and
够住
perfect
在
our
这里，
lives.
然后让自己
And
的人生达到完美，是非常
along
幸
with
运的。
Dhamvas,
而
it
且
is
呢，
very
连同
auspicious to do
Dhamvasi
Bhagavad
一起
Shravan.
呢，这个我们一起做 Bhagavad Shravan， 聆
Hearing
听
from the Srimad
Srimad
Bhagavatam, so
Bhagavatam。
this morning we have
所以今
assembled
天早晨我们聚集在一
to
起，
hear from Srimad
来聆
Bhagavatam,
听
first
Srimad
canto,
Bhagavatam 第一
chapter
篇
17,
第17章，
entitled Punishment
标
and
题
Reward
是
of Kali
对
Text
卡利
3.
的
So kindly
奖
repeat
赏和
after
惩
me.
罚。那么我们要读
Gam
第8节。Gam
Dharma Dugham
Dharma Dukam
Dhinam
Dinam
Vrisham
Visham
Shudram
Shudram
Pada Ahatam
Ahatam， 好像不是第8节。
Vivatsam
Vivatsam
Ashruvadhanam
Ashrutanam
Ksamam
Samam
Yavasam
Yavasam
Ichatim
Ichatim
Gamchadharma Dugam Dinam
Gamchadharma Dinam 第3节 1.17.3 Bisham Shuddha Padahatam
Vivatsam Ashruvadhanam
Vivatsam Ashruvadanam
Kshamam Yavasam Ichatim
Shamam Yavasam Ichatim
Gamchadharma Dugam
1.17.3
Dinam
Gamchadharma Dukam Dinam
Vrisham Shudra Padahatam
Visham Shudra Padahatam
Vivatsam Ashruvadhanam
Vivatsam Ashruvadanam
Kshamam Yavasam Ichatim.
Shamam Yavasam Ichatim.
Prabhus.
Gamchadharma Dukham Dinam Gamchadharma Dukham Dinam Visham Shudra Padahatam Visham Shudra Padahatam Vivatsam Ashuvadhanam Vivatsam Ashuvadhanam
Mataji.
Shaman Yavasamichatim Shaman Yavasamichatim Gamchadharma Dukham Dinam Visham Shudra Padahatam Vivatsam Ashuvadhanam Samanyavasam ichatim Sanchadharma dukham dinam Visham sudra padahatam Vivatsam ashuvadanam Samanyavasam ichatim
Thank you very much.
非常感谢大家。
Gam,
Gam
the cow.
乳牛
Cha,
Cha
also.
也
Dharma dukham.
Dharma dukham
Beneficial because one can draw religion from
是有
her.
益的，是因为一个人可以从他那儿得到宗教。
Dinam,
Dinam
now rendered poor.
现在变得很可怜，
Distressed.
痛苦的
Shudra,
Shudra
the lower caste.
低等的阶层
Pada ahatam,
Ahatam
beaten on the legs.
在腿上打
Vivatsam,
Vivatsam
without any calf.
没有任何牛犊
Ashruvadanam,
Ashruvadanam
with tears in her
在他的
eyes.
眼睛里有泪水
Kshamam,
Shamam
very weak.
非常虚弱
Yavasam,
Yavasam
grass.
草
Ichatim,
Ichatim
as if desiring to have some grass to eat.
好像是想要吃一些草。
Translation and purport by His Divine
圣
Grace A.C.
恩
Bhaktivedanta
A.C.
Swami
Bhaktivedanta
Prabhupada.
Swami Prabhupada 的译
Although
文
the
和
cow
要
is
旨。
beneficial
尽管
because
人类
one
可
can
以
draw
从
religious
母牛那
principles
里
from
汲取
her,
宗教
she
原
was
则，
now rendered
因
poor
此
and
母牛对
calfless.
人类有益
Her，legs were
但
being
它
beaten
现
by
在
a
却处
Shudra,
境可怜，没有
There
了
were
牛
tears in
犊，
her
输着在
eyes,
打它的
and
腿，
she was
在它眼
distressed
泪
and
汪汪，
weak.
心
She
情
was
沮丧，
hankering
虚弱不
after
堪，
some
正在
grass
原
in the
野上
field.
寻找一些可以果腹的青
Purport.
草。
The
要
next
旨。
symptom of the age of Kali is the distress
卡利
condition
年
of
代
the
的下一个
cow.
真相是母牛
Milking
处
the
境
cow
痛
means
苦，
drawing the
喂乳牛
principles
挤奶
of
意味着
religion
得到液
in
体
a
形式的
liquid
宗教
form.
原则。
The great
伟
rishis
大的
and
圣人
munis
瑞士们
would
和
live
穆
only
尼
on
们可
milk.
以靠牛奶为生。
Srila Shukadeva Goswami
是
would
舒克
go
德
to
狗斯瓦米
householder
曾经在居士
while
挤
he
牛
was
奶时
milking a
去居
cow,
士的
and
家，
he would
为
simply
维
take a
持
little
生命而
quantity
喝少
of
量
it
的
for
牛奶。
subsistence. Even
即
50
使是
years
在50
ago,
年
no
前，
one would
人
deprive
们
a
都不会
sadhu
拒
of
绝
a
给圣人
quart
1 公
of
升
or two
或
of
2公
milk,
升牛
and every
奶。每
householder
一个
would
居
give
士
milk
都会
like
像跟
water.
水一样布施牛奶。
For a Sanatanist, a follower
对
of
遵
Vedic
循伟达原
principles,
则的人
it is the
，Sanatan 主义
duty
者
of
来
every
说，
householder
每一
to
个居
have
士都有
cows
责
and
任把
bulls
母牛和
as
公牛
household
当作家庭
paraphernalia,
成员一样来喂养，
not only for
不仅是
drinking
为了
milk,
喝牛
but
奶，
also
也是
for
为了得到
deriving
宗教
religious
原则。
principles. The
遵循
Sanatanists
伟达
worships
原则的
cows
人
on
把
religious
崇拜
principles
乳牛
and
和
respects
敬重
brahmanas.
Brahmana
The
当作
cow's
宗教
milk
原
is
则。
required for the
做火
sacrificial
祭需
fire,
要用到
and by
牛奶，
performing
而举行祭
sacrifices,
祀可
this
以使居
householder
士生活快
can be
乐。
happy. The cow's
小牛犊不仅
calf not
外
only is
形美
beautiful
丽
to look，
还
at,
带给母
but also
牛
gives
以满足
satisfaction to
感，
the cow.
使母牛尽可能多的产
And
奶。
so she delivers as much milk as
但在卡
possible.
利年代
But in the
中，
Kali
小牛
Yuga, the
犊一生
cows
下
are
来没2
separated
天就被
from the
迫与它
cows
母
as
亲分
early
开。
as possible for
其目
purposes
的在
which may not be
Srimad
mentioned
Bhagavatam 的
in
这
these
些
pages
篇
of
章
Srimad
中，甚至不
Bhagavatam.
忍提到。
The cow stands with
母
tears
牛
in
含
her
着眼泪
eyes.
站着，
The Shudra
输着素
milkman
质的
draws
挤
milk
奶
from the
人
cow
人工方
artificially.
式挤它的奶。
And when there is no milk, the cow is sent to be
等到
slaughtered.
母牛不再产奶
These
时，
greatly
就把
sinful
它送
acts are
去屠宰
responsible
场。
for all
这
the
些罪
troubles
大
in
恶极
present
的行为
society.
是当今社会中一切纷
People do
争与
not
动乱
know
的根源。
what
人
they
们
are
不知
doing
道
in the
他
name
们以
of
发展
economic
经济为
development.
名都在
The
做什么。
influence of Kali
卡利
will
年
keep
代的
them
影
in the
响使他
darkness
们
of
处在愚
ignorance.
昧的黑暗中。
Despite all
无论他
endeavors
们
for
为人类
peace
社
and
会的和
prosperity,
平与繁荣做什么努
they
力，
must try to see the cows and the
他们
bulls
都必须
happy in
首
all
先努力
respects.
使母牛和公
Foolish
牛
people
在
do
各
not
方面
know
感到
how
快
one
乐。
earns happiness
愚蠢
by
的人
making
不
the
知道
cows
使
and
母
bulls
牛和公
happy,
牛快乐就
but
会
it
使
is a
人类
fact
生活快
by the
乐，
law of
但这
nature.
是自然法律的
Let
真
us
相。
take it from the
让我们
authority of
遵
Srimad
从 Srimad
Bhagavatam
Bhagavatam
and
的权
adopt
威
the
教导，
principles for the
为
total
整体人类的
happiness
快乐
of
而运用这
humanity.
些原则吧。
Om Gyanantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatanditam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surata Opangor Mama Manda Matergati Matsarvasva Padam Bhujo Radha Madan Mohanam Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prashtalibi Sevyamano Smarami Srimad Rasa Rasarambhi Vamshivata Tata Stitaha Karshan Venu Svanair Gopir Gopinata Shriyestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Guru Gauranga Jayataha Shri Radha Krishna Bhyam Namaha By the mercy of Shri Radha Madhava Panchatattva, Srila Prabhupada will be able to speak of Srimad Bhagavatam this morning, and also by the mercy of Shukadeva Goswami and Sutta Goswami, who are the original and the main speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, will able to convey the message. And here the Sutta Goswami is introducing the story of Maharaj Parikshit and introducing him as the main listener, the auditor of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Shrotra. The Vaktra is Shukadeva Goswami. And the Vaktra, the speaker, is Shukadeva Goswami. So we see how in this in last chapter, this chapter and next chapter, this speaker and hearer will be introduced, and the story of Maharaj Parikshit starts at the place, the desha of banks of Saraswati River in Bharatvarsha, at the time of the dawn of Kali Yuga, when Lord Shri Krishna have already departed this planet and Pandavas as well. So Maharaj Parikshit have inherited the royal right to become the ruler of whole planet, the Chakravarti, the emperor. So the circumstances were that at the bank of Saraswati River, the Kali have dressed as a being a Shudra, have dressed as a king and beating a bull and a cow. So in these circumstances, the Maharaj Parikshit, as exemplary emperor, he is performing interrogation and judicial trial at the spot.
他就开始在这个
So
现
we'll try
场
to hear
去
about the
采
importance
取
of
一些
this
措
story
施。
for
我
our
们
lives
现
and
在
what Srila
看一
Prabhupada
看这个
for
故
in
事对我
commentaries
们
said
的
that we should
重要意义是什么，而且我们引
apply
用
in
下
our
说帕
lives
帕
and
多的要
also
旨，如
in
何的把它
our
应用在我
society.
们的生活之中，还有我们的社团之中。
The predominant
主要
mood
的情感
and the sentiment is
还有这
Karuna
种
Rasa,
就
the
是说
compassion,
Karuna
because
Rasa，
Maharaj
也就是
Parikshit
怜悯
have
之情。
shown
Parikshit
the
Maharaj 他
compassion
所
for
拥有的这种怜悯
the
之
Dharma,
情，
the bull, and
展示给
cow,
Dharma 公
which
牛，
is the
然后还有
it
乳
was
牛，乳
personified
牛是
Bhudevi.
Bhudevi 地球母
And
亲的人格化
secondary Gauna
身。
Rasa is
然后
the
Dharma
Dharma Vira
Rasa 是
Rasa
Dharma
because he
Vira
is
Rasa，
exhibiting
因为
the
他在展示
strength of
力量，
chivalrous
也就
righteousness.
是
He
这
wants
种
to
勇士骑士精神，
destroy and punish
毁
Kali.
灭惩罚卡利。
So we'll see how
所以我
by
们可以
his
看到
power and
这个力
exemplary
量，
behavior he was
还有
able
他的这种
to
典范的行为举
execute
止
this.
去
And
执
as
行。
per Dharma
那
Shastra,
么
which is
就
the
Dharma Shastra 而言呢，
Vedic
这
jurisprudence
是伟大的
and
证
the
据，
legislation
有
and
立法，
also the criminal
而
and
且也
judicial
有这
system.
种
We
对
know
犯
there
罪
are
的
three
惩罚方
parts
式。我
of
们知
Dharma
道
Shastra
Dharma
which
Shastra
are
有3
shown
个部
actually
分，
in
这
this
实际上
chapter.
是在
The
本章
first
之
is
中体
Achara,
现出
the
来。首先
conduct
是
of
Achara， 也
civilized
就是有文
citizens.
明的公民的
Then
行为举止，
Vyavahara,
然后
criminal and
Avyahara，
judicial
也就
proceedings.
是审
And
判
on
的
the
程
end
序，
is
然后最后呢
prayashita,
是
atonement,
Prayachita 弥
and
补，
verdicts,
也就是说
dandas,
判
the
决，
punishments. So
惩罚。
from the beginning, from the beginning
从
of
一开始，
this chapter, we
这
see
一章的一开始，我
how the
们可
whole
以看到
system
整个的体系，
for interrogation was
就
set.
是说
And
这
many
个
interesting
询问的这个体系，先有
points
一
are
个
there.
背景，
And
有很
sometimes
多
we
的
think
要
that
点。有的时候我们
what
会
is
认为
the need
有
for
什
such
么
a
必要
strong judicial
必须
system,
要有这
but
种很强的司法
society
的
which
体系
doesn't have
呢？
judicial system will always be run
我们
by
在一直
immorality,
就
or it
是，
will
如果要
always
是
be
没有司法制
political
度
and
的
not
话呢，就会有一些非道
constitutional.
德
And
会
we
盛
see
行。
that
你会
Vedic
看到在
social
任何的
system, it
机构
is
之中，
constitutional
如
monarchy,
果要是机构
where
的话，
above the king there is
那么有
brahmanas
国王的
who
话，
are
就有
prescribing
Brahma，
the conduct
他们
of
会进行，
people in general and also for the
就
king.
是说人们必须要看自己的行为举止。
And it's not absolute monarchy where a king is declared that he have absolute power over
不是
everything
说
and
国
can
王就
make
对所有
decision
的
on
一
his
切都
own.
有绝对的权利，
So
可以自己
no one is
就
in
去做
society
决定。在
like
这
that, so
个
everyone
社会
should
上
be
呢，
checked.
不是说
The
任何人
brahmanas
想
are
做什么
checking
做什么，
kshatriya, and
在这
kshatriya
个
is
世界
also
上
checking
，Brahmana
brahmanas.
可
The
以
brahmanas
检
also being
查
self-inclined
可以检
towards
查 Brahma，
sattva and shuddha sattva
有
should be the
sattva
heads of
shuddha
society, because the more one
因为
acquires
一个人越需要
goodness and pure
善良属
goodness,
性，还有
the
纯粹的
more
善良属性啊，
he is
他就越
closer to
越
the
接近
purpose of
越接
human form of
近人类
life,
的这
and
个生
in
活，
that
而
sense he
且
should
呢，这
be
个就
positioned higher in the
可以在
society.
社会之中有更高的地位。
So from the
所以从一
beginning
开始，
of this chapter, punishment and reward of
我们
Kali,
可以看这个卡利对待卡利的这个办法。
we see that
我们看到
it is talk about the
谈
achar,
到
the
了
behavior,
achar，也就是
and
行为举
especially
止，
about
尤
the
其是关于
durachar.
durachar。
Durachar is the
durachar
misbehavior,
是
misconduct.
不
So
恰当的
Maharaj
行为举止，因
Parikshit
此
saw,
Maharaja Parikshit
observed that the lower caste Shudra dressed like a
他
king.
看到了这
It is
个
very
一个书
significant
者穿着的
because
打
in
扮
Vedic
像一个国王一样，这
social
个叫
system
做意
people
义
are
的是
dressed
因
as per
为
their position
当时的人
in
们是按照
Varna
自己
and
在 Varna 和 Ashram
ashram.
的地位来穿着
Regarding the
打扮的，
Varnas,
按照这个
different
Varna 有不
Varnas
同的
they would
Varna，
wear different
他们
colors
会有
and
不同的
different
颜色，而且还有
ornaments.
不
For
同
example,
的装饰
Brahmanas
品，比如
would
说
wear
会
white
穿白色的衣
and
服，
brownish.
然后
Kings would wear red and
国
purple.
王是紫色
Vaishyas
呀、
representing
棕
the
色呀，
fertility, they
这
would
代表的
wear
是歌产
green
肥
and
沃呀，所以他们
Shudras
穿绿
would
色的，而
be
书者呢
dressed in
穿着就
multicolor.
可以是多姿多彩的、五颜六色的。
So he was lower caste
这是
Shudra,
一个
but
低
he
等的
dressed
书
as
者，
a king 他扮成一个国王的样子，这就表明这个人实际上并不去追随他的职责，就是仅仅看到一个人的衣服，我们可以实际的知道他属于哪一个阶层。但是在这里呢，是说他在打一头公牛和母牛用一个棍子。打一头公牛和母牛，就好像他们没有主人一样。如果是个国王的话，他永远不可能去打公牛和母牛。通过这样呢，Maharaj Parikshit就得出了结论，他并不是一个国王。
In this judicial system interrogation, the king needs to know how to execute the perpetrator, victims, and witnesses also.
受害者，而且他也会是一个公正的一个见证者。那么在这里，结论就是他并没有去遵循他的 varna。
Then further he is saying about the bull as a victim, he was white as a white lotus flower. He was terrified of the Shudra who was beating him. It's very disturbing to read these passages if you are having some inclination towards, compassion towards living beings. As he was so afraid that he was standing on one leg, trembling and urinating. So such a beautiful living being, as white lotus flower, such a nice comparison, analogy, upamana, and if he is beaten, that means that something must inherently be wrong in the kingdom. So then Maharaj Parikshit, as exemplary king, he is observing this and being astonished by that. And the next verse which I have read today is saying about the cow. Although the cow is beneficial because one can draw religious principles from her, she was now rendered poor and calfless. Her legs were being beaten by a Shudra. There were tears in her eyes and she was distressed and weak. She was hankering after some grass in the field. Really disturbing the descriptions of cow. And if you have ever seen something like that, then you can identify how terrifying this can be. Because the cow, being a mammal, have a developed nervous system and can perceive this pain in a intensive way, almost like a human, because cow is in a sattva guna, so she can experience pain like that. So the king was astonished by that, and it is known and propagated by Srila Prabhupada that in Vedic civilization 5 groups of people should be protected. Brahmanas, cows, go, the strees, women, bala, children, and vriddha, seniors or elderly people. And if these 5 kinds of innocent people or beings are protected, then whole society can run properly. And how that is done? We need to think practically and pragmatically how that is done. So if temples are nicely maintained, that Brahmanas can perform the puja yagyas and samskaras, then Brahmanas, and the Brahmanas can teach, Brahmanas will be satisfied and prosperous, and they will be able to give wisdom to others. In order to get wisdom, we need cows. So for cows, you need to have Goshalas, and the Vaishyas means to protect the cows, because cows are producing so much of ingredients for Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, and also to produce nice human beings by eating cow products, especially the milk is good for development of finer brain tissues. So if cows are protected, if Goshalas are maintained, and cow's milk is used in Krishna's service, then cows will get spiritual and material benefit. Then for a woman's tree, if a household areas are created where women can take care of the foundational social unit, the family, then nice children can be born and educated. So then children are protected within home and the Gurukula educational system, which is very, very important. Without educational system, no society can transmit the knowledge and the values to next generation. So it's very important for restoration of civilization through generations. We need to have educational system, authentic and original educational system, which is done by Gurukulas. And finally, for those who are elderly and sick, the proper medical facilities should be there, hospitals, and especially the Vaidyas, Ayurvedic doctors should be trained properly. They can take care of elderly people, because elderly people are full of life experience and wisdom, so we should respect them by offering them such services. So by these 5, society can be prosperous. But if we think about the modern society, it is completely opposite. Brahmanas are cheating, the cows are slaughtered in slaughterhouses, women are exploited, kids are taught ignorance, and old people are sent in old house, old people houses, and like that. So it's completely opposite the Vedic civilization. So the Sattva Guna definitely it will not be preserved, and it is the warning for whole humanity, actually. Many times I think about Srila Prabhupada as a warning for the whole humanity. It is the time to wake up and think where we have actually came as a civilization and what are the real values propagated in society. So I inspire you to think about this very much and to see how we can turn over this in our lives. So then after this verse, the Maharaj Parikshit starting interrogation of this. Here is saying Papracha inquired that he have inquired into nature of this situation. So the Vyavahar Dharma is started to be represented. Interestingly, first he's saying, just like if you have ever been in a court, you will see that first the judge is declaring the power on the behalf of the state, of the identity of the court. He is declaring his jurisdiction. In the same way, it is said that Maharaj Parikshit, well equipped with arrows and bow and seated on a golden bow's chariot, spoke to him with a deep voice sounding like a thunder. So we see the identity of a king, and in Vedic times the king was also the judge. He is well equipped with arrows and bows, showing his strength, and seated on golden bow's chariot. He is very resourceful and independent in executing this power. So it means that this is identity. Then he is asking about the identity of the perpetrator. Who are you? You appear to be strong, and yet you dare kill. Within my protection, those who are helpless. By your dress, you pose yourself by a godly man king, but by your deeds, you are opposing the principles of wise-born Kshatriyas. So he is addressing him being a cheater, Shudra dressed as a Kshatriya. Then he is giving him first charge of
好像是
the
假装的在
nation.
管
You
理的
wrote,
国王，你在
do you
把
dare
这
beat
些
an
天真
innocent
无
cow
辜的
because
动物，
Lord
你要知
Krishna
道，
and Arjuna, the carrier of the Gandiva bow, are out of
你既
sight?
然在
Since you're
把
beating
这
the
些
innocent in a secluded place,
把
you're
这些无辜
considered a
的
culprit
生物体，所
and
以你
therefore
应该被
deserve
杀
to be
掉。
killed.
所以他在表明
So he's indicating
应
the
该给他
charge
们
and
什
the
么样的
verdict
惩罚。
which is supposed to be done.
然后呢，
Then
他在问这个
he's asking about the victim,
就是受
the
害
bull and
者
a cow.
你是谁？
Oh, who are you? Are you a bull as white a
你
lotus,
如
or
莲
you are
花
a
般洁白
demigod?
的公
You have
牛，还是个
lost
半神？
three
你已经失去了
of
3
your
条
legs
腿，只
and
有
are
1条腿
moving
在行走。你是公
and
牛的
moving
形象，让我
on
们
only
感到悲伤的某
one.
位
Are
半
you
神
some
人吗？
demigod causing us grief in the form of a bull? Then there is some kind of pacification where he is telling the bull that no
然后
one
呢，他说没有
will
人能够
be
触及
able
到
to
他，
touch
因
him
为他的
because of
力
his
量。
powers. He's the
就是说，这
Shastari,
个
the
统治
subduer and the
者，
ruler of the
统治
of
者
all
变成了
envious men. And now is very significant part where he is
他的力
saying
量也
that
变得微不足道。
the king's good name, duration of life, and good rebirth vanish when all kinds of living beings are terrified by miscreants in his kingdom.
这肯定呢，
It is
是
certainly
一
the
个
prime
国王
duty
的
of the
职责，
king
应
to
该去
subdue
减少
first
那
the
些痛
sufferings
苦
of
的人
those
所
who
遭受的
suffer.
痛苦。
Therefore, I
所以我
must
必须要
kill
杀死这个
this
最糟
most
糕的
wretched
人，
man
因为
because he
他
is
在
violent
对其他
against
的生
other
物体
living
犯下
beings.
这种
So
暴
he is
行。
saying what is
他说的
the
是 Raja
Raja
Paradharma，也就是
Paradharma,
说一
the
个国
prime
王的
duty
最
of
重
a
要的职
king.
责。然后应
Subdue
该去
first
减
the
少那
sufferings
些
of
遭受
those
痛
who
苦之人
suffer.
的痛苦。而他应该怎么
And
做
how he
呢？
gonna do that?
通过
By
也就是
subduing
说
the miscreants,
去
those who
惩罚那些
disobey
不
the
去遵从
rules of
神命令的
Dharma
人。
So the
所以呢，一个国王
prime
的
duty
最
of a
主要的
king
职责
is not
不是说
to
不是说去
secure enjoyment for himself
为了
and
让自己
generations
保持
after
安全，
him.
然后去享受自己的
Prime
后代
duty
去
of a
享受。
king is not
而一个国王
to
并不是为了去
enslave
奴役他
his
的臣民，
citizens.
一个国
Prime
王
duty
的
of a
职
king
责是
is not
不
to
要
impose
去
harsh
在这
rules
个
and
臣民身上
regulations
加
of
诸严酷的
citizens,
法律，而
but
是
it
说
is
应
to
该去减少
subdue
那
the
些
sufferings
遭
of
受痛
those
苦
who
之人的
suffer.
痛苦，是因为
And
布拉
because the
玛们，还
brahmanas,
有
cows,
牛们、妇女、
the women,
孩子，
children,
还有老
and
人，
elderly people
他们
are
都倾向于遭
prone
受
to
痛苦，
suffering
是因为
because
他
they
们的
are
这种天真。
innocent.
这样呢，
In that way, the
国王应该是去保
king
护他
needs to
们。
protect them.
然后他
Then
继
he's
续的去询
continuing the
问，
interrogation
到
by
底是谁对你
asking
做了
who
这样
have
的
done
事
this
情？
to you, and remembering
要记得，
remembering
Satya
that
Yoga, 他有
he in
4条
Satya
腿，
Yoga had 4 legs,
而在这个
and
Kali
in
Yoga，
this age of Kali
他只
Yoga,
剩
it's
下
having
了一
only
条腿。
one leg. Yes, this is what I was looking. It's continuing about the Raja Paradharma. The supreme duty of the ruling king is to give all protection the law-abiding citizens, persons, and to chastise those who stray from the ordinances of the scriptures in ordinary times, when there is no emergency.
我们可以
So
看到
if
这
he
里，
sees here the
国王的
prime
首要的
duty
职
of
责
a
是
king
去
is
保
to give
护那
protection
些
to
遵纪守
law-abiding
法的公民。
persons. In
Dharma Sastra 解释
Dharma
说
Shastra is
，Dharma Raja
explained that Dharma Raja, the
也就是说，
statecraft is not meant to
国家
rule
的这些领导
people.
层，他们是怎么
People
统治
are
人
by
民的？人
nature
民本身他们
free.
是自由的，
People are by nature free
他
to
们应该
follow
是去自由的去追
Dharma
随 Dharma，
according to their
这是他
natural
们自然的倾
inclinations,
向
svabhava.
svabhava。人们实际
So
上并
people
不
actually
属
don't
于
belong
国王，
to king, people don't
然后
belong
呢，
to
也
the
不属于
state.
这个国家。有
Sometimes
的时
people
候，
think,
人们会认
oh,
为
I'm
我是印度
Indian,
人，我
I'm
是个欧洲
European,
人，我
in
是
any
美国
country
人，
I'm American,
我是中国人，我
I'm
是日本
Chinese or
人，我属于
Japanese,
这
and
个
I
国
belong
家。
to this
通过
country.
这个呢，
And by
这种
that
心态，他们就会
mentality,
被
they
奴役。
become enslaved. and the unscrupulous rulers who are aware of this, they enslave people. The unscrupulous rulers, being overly masculine, they're trying to subdue people with their feminine mentality, who are very much dependent, and by that they become slaves in society. Although a person is born with some ethnical background, doesn't mean that he is belonging to some state. We may be the holders of some passport, or we may be holder of some national document, identity, but doesn't mean that we belong to the state. Human beings are born free. Born free means that they have dharma, that they have dharma, and they have their svabhava, they have natural tendency. So people have tendency to express their thoughts, to express their values, to express their understanding of life. Therefore, the freedom of speech according to dharma must be allowed, freedom of movement must be allowed, and it is not actually it's not the duty of any government to ban people from traveling, ban people from speaking, ban people from exhibiting their freedom of worship, for example. It is their duty to enable people to fulfill their human aspirations. Because human aspirations are natural, so the real civilization, Vedic civilization, is actually need to craft its own policies which will be suitable for people, for example, of this atmosphere and Bharatvarsh ambient, where people have their own tendencies. So just trying to imitate some external policies from abroad will not maybe function with this civilization. So it's very important to craft the policies according to the psychological nature of human beings. We need to understand the nature, anthropological nature of humans, and then per that craft those political policies, otherwise people will always be dissatisfied and the purpose of human form of life will not be fulfilled. So the nature of human being is God-given, Purusha Swadharma, and we should not think that government is giving us rights or taking our rights. Sometimes people go to protest for their rights, but actually it's completely wrong because government never gave you your rights. It is known per constitution that when the government is acting immorally and unconstitutionally, the resistance is the duty of Praja. It is the duty of citizens. If king is not performing his duty, just like examples are there of King Vena, it is the duty of people to do resistance because each human being is endowed with divine power to understand what is humanness and what is divinity. We have such tendencies, so we have responsibility to contribute to our society, to our community. And if we don't do that, then we are responsible for our own enslavement. So if someone is treating Brahmanas, cows, women, children or elderly like Kali, and especially in the age of Kali there are many Kalis, then we are responsible to acknowledge this, to discuss this and to report this to people who have some accumulated power to deal with that. Otherwise people should unite and make their own parallel social
主角的
system,
话
and
就是
Srila
一种瘫
Prabhupada
痪
have
的社
many
会体
times
系。
advocated the parallel
施瑞
social
玛德经
system
常的去
because
说，提到我们现在的这个社会
in
体
modern
系，
social
是因为在
system
现代的这
everything
个社会体系
is
之中，所有
opposed
的
to
一
Vedic
切
civilization,
都是
especially
违背
nowadays
伟达体系的。
Vaishyas who are
歪下
prone
们
to cheating and lying
他们开始
have
去欺骗、
through
撒谎，
through corporatism to
而且呢，
corporations
还有这些大的公司
stolen many
在
of
偷很多
wealth
很
but
多的
also
财富，
rights
但
of
是还有
human
呢，
beings.
人类的这个权利也
Sometimes
都被这些大公
these
司给偷走
corporations
了。
they
有
are
的时候，
creating
有一
the
些公
policies
司他
within
们
sovereign
制造
nations.
一种策略，
So how these nations are any more
然后
sovereign?
呢，他们
So we
就
know
会
that
针对某一个民
in
族
the
去制
original
定一
state
些
of humanity is in Satya Yuga,
我们可以
where
看在
Brahmanas
Satya Yoga 的这种人
predominantly are
性
living
，Brahmana 是
and
主要
they
的，
are sense control and
而且
they
他们
can
控制感
execute
官，他们可以
dharma
去
for
执
their
行
own
Dharma。
will. Then in the Treta
然后
Yuga
在 Treta
there is
Yoga
decline
有衰落，
of Brahmanas and
Brahmana
Kshatriyas
Kshatriya 的衰落
start ruling.
开始
In
统治，
Dvapar
然后
Yuga
呢，在
the
Dwapara Yoga
Kshatriyas are
Kshatriya
in decline and
他
Vaishyas are
们
starting.
衰落，然后
And
歪下
in
开始盛
Kali
行，而在
Yuga
卡利
the
尤
Vaishyas
歪下
are in decline.
也在衰落，
And finally
而最终呢，
the Shudras will
苏者
start
开
to
始
rule after the
去
some
统
time,
治
but
一
still
段时间，
Vaishyas
但是
are
仍
in
然
rule, and
歪
we
下
see
还
this
是在统
nowadays
治。我们
that
会看到如今
sometimes some
有的时候
companies they
有
have
些
more
公
power
司
than
他们的权力
nations.
甚至比国家的权力
So
还
means
大，
that Vaishyas
这
are
就意味
above
着歪下他
the
们超越
Kshatriyas.
Kshatriya。
And when Shudras
而
start
当
to
苏者
rule,
开始去
everyone
统治
will
每一个人的时候，
be there to protect himself
他
with
们
his
就
own
会
power,
用自己的力量只是保护自己，
because there will be no
因为不再有
proper Kshatriyas
太
or
恰当的
Brahmanas
Kshatriya 或者是
to
Brahmana 了
protect.
去保
So
护他们，所以呢，
it is a very delicate
这是
time
非常
in
非
history
常
of humanity
精微的
to
一个
deal with, but
情
with
况。
the
我们
help
现
of
在
Srimad
呢，
Bhagavatam, we
我
need
们
to
应该
know
需要
how to
了解八个瓦塔，
protect
知
ourselves.
道怎么保护我们自己。
We need to
我
know
们
that
需要了解到
the only social
唯
system
一的
is
社会体
Varnashram
系是
Dharma,
Varnashram Dharma。
although may not
尽管呢，我们
exist
可能
within the
觉
quality,
得所有
means
的
that
这一
people
切
who
并
doesn't
不
have
存在。
quality take the
有
post,
些
but it
人
always
他们可
exists in
能
a form. There will be always
所
some
以总
Brahmanas,
会有一些
Kshatriyas,
Brahmana、
Vaishyas, and
Kshatriya、Vaishya 和
Shudras.
Shudra。
And when we
而
say
当我们说
that it's impossible to reestablish Dharma, means
这是
it's
不可能去
impossible
重
to
新确立的
reestablish
时
in
候呢，
ideal
也就是
way.
说，我们不可能
But
重
can
新
be
的一种理
reestablished
想的
if
方式去
people are
确立。
educated through
但是如
Gurukulas,
果
then
人们受到 Gurukula 的教育，
people
那么
will take the
人们就
be
会
self-realized and
变
take
得
the
自我
position
觉悟，
as per
并
their
且
own nature.
按照自己的本性，
In
按照自己的
previous
天性
ages,
去接受一些社会地位。在先前的
people
年
would
代，
be
人们
grown in their own families,
他们
and
在自己的家庭之中成
most
长，
of the time
然后绝大多数
the
时候
nature of a
呢，
child is
一个
not
孩子的
different from the
本
nature
性
of a
跟
family.
家庭
So
的这个
people
本
have
性是没有
confused
区
this,
别的。
that this means that he by
然
birth had
后呢，人们有的
became
时候会产
this
生
and
混乱，
that
就觉
Varna.
得这个人出生
Because
是什么样的家庭，他就会是处于什么样的
people
弯呢？
didn't travel so much.
因
The
为人
child
们也不
was
太旅行，这个
educated
孩子
from
呢
young
是
age
从小的时
within
候
the
就受到教
vicinity of
育
a，family,
是在家庭的
community
这
and
个范畴
society.
之
So
内，
he
在这
would
个社
adopt
团
the
的这个
nature
范
of
畴之
that
内，所以他
community.
会吸收这个社会、
And
这个当地的社团的
most often the
这种
child
性
doesn't
质。
have
很
different
多的
nature
孩子
from
们，他
his
们
parents.
从他们的父
People
母那会
have
继承一些天性。
taught that in caste system that
在等级制度之中
by
呢，
birth we should
人们
declare
说我
who
们应
is
该是按
Brahmana,
照
Kshatriya,
出生
Vaishya
来
and
判断
Shudra.
谁是
Because
Brahmana、
of that there is a
Kshatriya、Vaishya、
decline
Shudra。
in
可是
propagation
在
of qualities in
这
society.
种社会的
Because
这
if
种
someone
质
is by
量上
birth
有衰退，
in higher
所以呢，
elites social
一个人
system,
不
then
可
why
以
he
说
would
他按照出生就可以处于特定的弯儿。
train and educate
他应该受
himself.
到
So it's
恰
very
当的教
important to
育和
understand
训
that someone
练。
should
重
get
要
the
的是要
post
理解到一个
by
人应
the
该通
quality,
过
by
他
his
的品质、
qualification.
他的
Such
资格来得到一个地位。
meritocratic system which is based on
这
the
种
values
这
and
种的东西建立在价值观的基
the
础上。
punya.
这个
Only the
punya
people
只
who
有
have
那
good
些有
qualities
好
are
品质的人
propagated
才
to
能
higher
够
posts.
去
Srila Prabhupada
就是
said,
说
first
去主导，去
deserve,
给
then
大
大家去教这些东西。就像是帕帕说的，你先配得上，然后才有愿望。
So on the end
所以在
of
最后呢，
this chapter,
这一章的最后，
Maharaj Parikshit is giving the
他给
danda,
出
the
了
punishment.
丹的，也
It
就
is
是
the
这个惩罚
Prayashchita section where there is
的部分。
atonement for Kali, and Kali is asking where he can stay, and he is telling him, you can stay where there is Chaturvida Dharma. Persons like you cannot stay in my kingdom. And interestingly, he said his jurisdiction I rule above anyone and everyone
我是
and
统治所
everywhere.
有的人，所有的地方。
So his jurisdiction is whole planet.
那么他的
Such
这个
a
统辖权
righteous
是整
king
个的星
can
球，
rule
这
whole
样一位
planet
正直的国王可以统治整个的星
and
球，
protect
并且保护
citizens.
臣民。
So Chaturvida
在
Dharma
Chaturvida
are
Dharma
gambling,
就是
which
这
is
是赌
Dyuta,
博，
gambling,
有
then
赌博，然后是
intoxication is
麻醉品，
Pana, then Striya
然后
is
Striya
emancipation of woman,
跟女人
and
的这种
Suna
合法的关系，还有
is
Suna
meat eating
吃
and
肉，
slaughtering animals
或者
for
是
any
屠杀
other
动物。
purpose like leather, the bones and whatever.
或者是用
So
一些
then
皮革制品，还有骨制品。
Kali being very much crooked, he
所以
started
卡
to
利他非常的
negotiate,
狡猾，
being
他
very
开始
diplomatic.
去
He
讨
asked
价
for
还价，他
one
非
more
常的有
place
外交
because
手腕。
these
他说：“我
places
想
doesn't
再有一个地
actually
方，因为你所提到的这
exist
些
in
地
his
方并
kingdom.
不存
He's
在于
asking
你
for
的
the
国度之
fifth
内，所以他想要第5个地
place,
方。
Panchastana, and he's saying him Jatarupa, where there is a gold.
因为就是说，只
And
要
he's
是
saying
有
also
金
where
子
there
的
is a
地方，
gold, there is a falsity,
有金子的地方
intoxication,
就会有欺骗，
envy,
就会有
enmity, and
麻
lust.
醉品，然后就
So
会
he
有
will
嫉妒，就会有
exist
色
there.
欲，这样它就会存在于那个地
The
方。
Maharaj Parikshit also
Maharaj Parikshit
prescribing and
他也
declaring
在
that people who
宣
are
称人们呢，
religionists,
他们非常
social
的有
leaders,
宗教性，那些社会的领袖们。
brahmanas and sannyasis
他们
especially
们 sannyasi
should
们
never
以
go
及
to any
这
of
些人永远不
these
应该去
places,
这些地方
Panchastanani,
，Panchastana，
because then they will be
因为那
polluted
样
and
他们
whole
就会受到污
society
染，
by
然
that
后呢，整个社会也会进一步受到
is
污染。
polluted. So these instructions are
所以这些教
very
导是非
practical
常实际
nowadays,
的，
and
对于如今
everyone
来说，
can
每一个
exhibit
人
them
都可以
in
去执行，
his own life, and Srila
在自己的
Prabhupada
生活之中都可以去应用。
being the well-wisher
是
of
帕
all
是所有
humanity,
人，整个人类的
he
祝愿
created
者。
this international
他创造了这个
society for Krishna
国
consciousness
际
to
Krishna 知觉协
train
会，
people
就是为
how
了训练
to
人
go
们
overcome
如何去
above these
克服、征服
tendencies
所有的这些
and
不好的倾向，
establish
并
ourselves
且
on the
确
position
立
of
什么样的地位呢？
Paradharma, which
确立
is Shuddha
Paradharma
Bhakti.
Shuddha Bhakti
So
的地
by
位。所以
not
通
gambling
过不
means
去赌
being
博，
truthful,
这就意味着要
by
真
not
诚；通过
intoxicating,
不
not
去
eating meat, fish and eggs,
不去喝
and
麻醉品，不去
not
吃
having
肉
illicit
蛋，不要有
relationship
非
with
法的这
woman,
个关系跟异
is
性。
can
这
create
样呢，意思可以
first-class
造
humans,
成，就是说
brahmanas
造就
and
一流的
Vaishnavas, which
Brahmana、外
can
什那们，
show the perfect
他们就可
example
以展示出
to
完美的榜
society.
样给这个
So
社会。
by
所以
following
通
Srila
过
Prabhupada's
追随施
instructions,
了帕
we'll
帕
be
德的
able
教导，
to
我们能够
come to that level,
达到这个
and
层面，而
this
且
level
呢，
is
这个
prerequisite
层
for
面
high levels of
对于更
devotional
高的奉献
service.
服务是有必要的。
For Paradharma,
对于
which is
Paradharma
declared in
是有
Srimad
必要的，
Bhagavatam,
这个是
Savai
施曼
Pumsam
巴冈他们
Paradharmo
之中
Yato
提到的。
Bhaktir Adokshaje Ahaituke
还就
Pratihata
Pratihata
Yayatma
Suprasidati
Suprasidati, saying that Paradharma for all human
Paradharma 就
beings
是给所有的
it
人
is
类的，
service to
这是
Adokshaja,
对
and this
的
service
服
must
务，而
be
这个服务必须是
Ahaituke Pratihata,
Ahaituke
causeless and
Pratihata 是无
ceaseless,
缘的，
and then
然后是不
the
停
living
止的，
being, the soul will be
并且呢，
satisfied.
这个灵魂就会得到满
So
足。
sometimes we think
有
why
的时候
to
我们会
follow
认
these
为，为
Vedic
什么要
rules and
追随这些伟
regulations,
大的规范
and
原
it
则
is
呢？
to always remember and never
而
forget
且
Krishna.
这是为了让我们
By
永远记
blessings
住
of Srila
Krishna，不要忘
Prabhupada,
记
we'll be
Krishna。
able
通
to
过施了帕
execute
帕德
this.
的
So I
祝
thank
福，
you
我们
for
便
your
可以执
kind
行这一点。
attention,
非常感谢
and
大
I
家的
believe
专
we
注。
would like to rush for
我们
a
得赶紧
darshan, but
去
if there is
冲
any
向大
short
上了，
question,
但如果
I'll
要是有
be
很短的问题，
more than
我
happy
可以
to answer
会非
privately.
常高兴的来
Thank
回
you so
答一下。
much,
非常
and
感谢大家。
Srila Prabhupada
除
ki
了
jai.
宝宝的记载，
Prabhu, because we need
因
to
为我
finish
们
till late,
需要，我
I
们
will
结束
request
的有
you
点
any
晚，所以
question
我
to
请
ask
求，
privately. I
要
will
不然
stay
你有
some
问
time
题的
here.
话就在楼
Alright?
下问，可以吗？感恩大家的聆听，顶拜所有聚会的奉献者。